All right, everyone, get ready because today we're going deep into the world of Nigel Wade.
A guy who you could say turns pretty average cars into something really special.
Yeah, he's a bit of a legend online for taking these, what some people might call lemons.
And turning them into these really unique rides.
Exactly. And the cool thing about this deep dive
Yeah.
is we're using his online stories as the source material.
It's not some polished magazine article. It's his words straight from him.
Yeah. So expect some crazy stories,
Oh, yeah.
some close calls, and a lot of do-it-yourself mechanics.
For sure. A lot of that.
We're going to start with Wade's first car, a Mazda RX-4 Coupe.
Classic.
He got it at an auction.
Nice.
Now imagine the car sitting there at the $7,000 price tag.
Okay.
Wade walks away with it for $2,850.
Wow, that tells you something right there.
I know, right?
About how Wade operates.
Yeah.
He sees potential.
Or other people just see a car that's not worth it.
Yeah, he's not afraid to get his hands dirty.
And he didn't mess around. He lowered the car, swapped out the exhaust, the differential.
All pretty standard for car guys.
But for Wade, this car was more than just a project.
Right.
It was like an extension of himself.
It's amazing how cars can be like that.
He said he felt like a king driving it around.
Especially when you're young, your first car.
Yeah.
It becomes part of who you are.
And this car played a big role in his dating life.
Oh, really?
He even almost got married during this time.
Wow.
It was clearly like a period of exploration for him.
Sounds like it, yeah.
Speaking of exploration, Wade tells this crazy story about a drag race.
Okay.
He's out driving with a friend,
Uh-huh.
and they come across this local drag strip,
Oh.
and his friend basically dares him to enter,
Oh, I see. Sensing Wade's eagerness.
Exactly, and that camaraderie really pops up a lot in these stories.
That makes sense. That shared passion for cars.
And Wade's description of that night, man, you can practically smell the burning rubber.
I bet.
He talks about spinning out, crossing up,
Wow.
putting on a show for the 200 plus people watching.
That's awesome.
His friend was glued to the seat, just loving every second.
You could feel that energy.
It sounds like pure adrenaline fueled fun.
Yeah. But you also get that sense of risk-taking. That kind of disregard for the rules that we see a lot in Wade's stories.
Right.
But at this point, it's really just about that thrill.
Yeah, the joy of pushing a car to its limits.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, though, all good things must come to an end.
Oh, no.
The clutch gave out on the RX-4, and Wade just wasn't in a position to fix it.
Oh, it's too bad.
Yeah, he says he regrets selling it now.
There's always that nostalgia.
For sure, for that first car.
So what's your first car?
Yeah, but onward and upward to his next car, a Mazda 323.
Okay. Another Mazda.
This one had a swapped rotary engine.
All right.
And this one takes us on what Wade calls a vampire trip.
A vampire trip.
Yeah, it's a wild one.
I'm intrigued.
So picture this. Wade, his girlfriend, and their 2 kids, they all moved to Palmerston North.
Oh, wow. A big move.
For a fresh start, they were both planning to study there, hoping for,
A brighter future.
a brighter future, exactly. And they ended up living next door to this.
Oh, no.
Well, let's just say a very interesting character
Oh, boy.
who was not a fan of loud cars at all.
Oh, I see trouble brewing.
That's putting it mildly, and this is where Wade's nighttime adventures begin.
This neighbor injects some humor into the story.
Definitely.
It's like Wade's world crashing into this, normal society.
Totally. So what is this vampire trip all about?
Yeah, I'm curious.
Imagine Wade's Mazda, no warrant, no registration, no certification, lowered with a booming exhaust,
Oh, that's not good.
and Wade himself driving with a suspended license.
Oh, wow. This is getting serious.
And did I mention the 5 ounces of weed he had stashed in the back seat?
5 ounces.
Yeah, so that's the reason for the vampire trip.
To avoid the cops.
Exactly, driving long distances at night.
To stay under the radar.
Yep. His first attempt ended pretty badly.
Oh, no. What happened?
The differential blew.
Not a good start.
But a week later, he was ready to try again.
Wow. Persistent.
This time, he planned it all out, sticking to back roads, avoiding highways.
Trying to be as invisible as possible.
All under the cover of darkness. At first, it went smoothly.
Okay.
He's listening to Prodigy and Metallica, feeling good.
Cruising along.
But then he passes a cop doing 145 kilometers per hour,
Oh, no. That's not good.
and things escalate very quickly.
I bet.
He floors it, hits 165.
Wow. Trying to outrun them.
He knew he couldn't outrun the cop on a straight road,
Right.
so he does something pretty crazy.
What did he do?
He flips a switch he'd installed that disables his taillights.
He went dark.
Yeah, he's basically invisible on this winding road.
That's so risky.
He finds a side road, ducks down, it spins out, ends up hiding in a field,
Hiding in a field.
covered in cow dung.
Oh, no.
I kid you not.
Pure chaos.
But it gets even crazier.
It does.
Wade gets back on the road and spots a line of trucks.
A line of trucks.
Yeah, and he hatches this daring plan.
What was he thinking?
He decides to use the trucks as cover to avoid being seen.
Oh, wow. Hiding in plain sight.
Exactly. He manages to squeeze in between two trucks.
Oh, my goodness.
One just inches from his bumper.
That's too close for comfort.
The other one has this metal bar hanging just above his hood.
I can't even imagine.
Talk about a tight squeeze.
Yeah, that's intense.
For over an hour, he's driving like this.
Sandwiched between these trucks?
Doing 125 kilometers per hour. His little rotary engines screaming to keep up.
This is crazy.
The noise, the threat of that metal bar.
The tension must have been unbelievable.
His differential's about to give out. It's a high-stakes situation.
It really shows Wade's driving skill, though,
For sure.
to be able to handle that kind of pressure.
And then there's this moment of relief.
He gets away.
He realizes the cop he was trying to outrun is actually part of the convoy,
What?
heading in the opposite direction.
Oh, wow. What a coincidence.
He feels this huge rush of relief.
I bet he did.
But he still has to get out of this truck sandwich.
Yeah, that's not going to be easy.
He's running low on fuel. The car's overheating. That differential is about to go.
He's in a tough spot.
Finally, a straight stretch of road appears, and he signals he wants to get out.
To break free.
The truckers respond. They give him space to pull out.
They helped him.
He describes them all honking their horns as he drives away.
A gesture of farewell.
Almost like a salute.
That's incredible.
It's like they recognized his desperation.
Even though they probably didn't agree with what he was doing.
They understood that need for freedom, you know.
Probably bellious spirit.
Exactly. And as dawn breaks, Wade knows he can't keep this up.
He has to stop.
He pulls into this deserted gas station, exhausted but exhilarated.
I bet.
He manages to grab an hour of sleep before the attendant wakes him up.
I can't imagine what the car looked like at this point.
Oh, it was covered in cow dung.
I was just thinking that.
And the attendant just asks, how did that even happen?
What did Wade say?
Wade just shrugs it off and blames it on cattle trucks.
Of course he did.
He fuels up, checks the oil, and continues on his journey.
Wow, still going.
Arrives in Devonport around 7 a.m., grabs the coffee heads to his friend's place.
They must have been worried about him.
Yeah, they partake a little before he heads to his dad's to crash.
I see.
Later that day, Wade and his friends go to a burnout spot.
Oh, no.
The differential finally gives out, marking the end of the Mazda's wild ride.
What a way to go.
The car is towed back to his dad's.
What a story.
And Wade, facing the reality of his suspended license, decides to take a break from driving for a bit.
Probably a good idea.
But Wade's car adventures don't end there.
They don't.
He shares another story about this Toyota Corona he found just abandoned.
Okay, another project car.
This thing was completely dilapidated, weeds growing in and around it, rusting away.
Wow, a real fixer-upper.
He got it for $52.
$52. That's unbelievable.
Even for a car in that condition, it was a steal.
It really shows you that Wade has a knack for finding these hidden gems.
That's for sure.
I mean, the guy just sees potential where others see a junker.
He and his friends, they get to work changing plugs, sanding points, flushing the radiator.
Really trying to bring this thing back to life.
Yeah, like a mechanical zombie.
That's a great way to put it.
And get this, they cut the springs to lower the car.
How low are we talking?
So low, it was practically scraping the pavement.
Oh, wow. That's low.
His dad thought they were crazy at first.
I'll bet.
But eventually he came around and helped them get the engine running.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
There's that shared passion again.
Yeah, it's cool to see how cars can bring people together like that.
Definitely.
And they even gave the Corona a custom paint job.
Oh, yeah. What'd they use?
Leftover White House paint.
White House paint.
I know, right? I can only imagine what that looked like.
I bet it was a sight.
Wade eventually sold it to a friend for a profit.
Nice little side hustle.
And the Corona lived on as this low-riding backstreet cruiser until it met its demise in an impromptu demolition derby.
Oh, no. Seriously?
Yeah, courtesy of Wade's friend and his twin brother.
Wow, what a way to go out.
Talk about going out with a bang.
So this Corona, it was another one of Wade's cars that didn't last too long.
Yeah, it's kind of like the RX 323, you know, these cars that were such a big part of his stories.
And both end up destroyed.
Not in some big race or anything, just kind of like these random acts of destruction.
It's almost like it's a reflection of Wade's life at the time, you know?
Yeah, there's a lot of chaos and uncertainty.
And these cars, they're kind of symbols of that.
But speaking of the RX 323, we can't forget about the trade Wade made after it.
Oh, right, the motorbike.
He got it for a beat-up Ford Laser, fixed it up enough to flip it to someone else.
Always hustling.
But this is all happening while his relationship with his girlfriend's falling apart.
Oh, that's tough.
It's like he's channeling all this emotional energy into these cars.
Finding solace in fixing and rebuilding.
Exactly. He even says after the breakup, he loses interest in cars for a while.
Wow, really?
Yeah. Sells the motorbike, focuses on other things.
So cars were more than just a hobby for him.
It seems like
They were connected to his emotions, his sense of self.
it makes you think about what drove his car obsession in the first place.
Was it just a love of cars, or was it something deeper?
A way to express himself, maybe?
Or even to escape from his problems?
That's a good point.
We don't really get a clear answer from his stories.
But they definitely make you think about the connection between our passions and our lives.
How they influence each other.
And we can't forget about Wade's disclaimer at the end of his stories.
What does he say?
He says he wouldn't do any of this stuff now.
He wouldn't?
And he doesn't think anyone else should either.
It's interesting.
He knows his younger self was reckless.
He was definitely taking a lot of risks.
And he could have easily ended up in serious trouble.
It shows he's grown and learned from his experiences.
For sure. So as we're wrapping up our deep dive into Nigel Wade,
What can we say about the man?
it's tough to put him in a box, you know?
Yeah, he's a bit of a contradiction.
He's obviously passionate,
Uh-huh.
resourceful, but also impulsive.
Right, and sometimes pretty reckless.
Yeah, and his stories that give us this look into a subculture
That operates kind of on the edge of society,
where the love for cars can be more important than common sense.
or even the law sometimes.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
It is. He's definitely a skilled guy,
Uh-huh.
able to fix up cars with almost nothing.
Right.
But he's also willing to take huge risks.
Pushing those cars to the limit.
And himself, too.
And it's interesting how both the RX 323 and the Corona,
Yeah.
these cars that were so important to him,
Uh-huh.
they both end up destroyed.
Not in a race or anything.
Just kind of randomly,
Almost like it was inevitable.
like a reflection of that chaos in his life.
Exactly. It's kind of poetic in a way.
It is. You know, it shows how temporary these modified cars can be.
Yeah, they burn bright for a while,
And then they're gone.
leaving behind stories and legends.
And that disclaimer from Wade,
Right.